Welcome everybody to Games Cast by PanderNyrl. If you wish to see more commented games, please follow my YouTube and Twitch pages below.
Welcome everyone to this ranked game. We do see Ezreal and Janna down bottom, Lee Sin in the jungle, Kassadin in the mid, and Nidalee up top for the blue team. For the red team, we see Katarina in the mid lane, Kha'Zix up top, a Draven Morgana bottom lane, and a Shaco in the jungle. I actually kind of like the Morgana Draven lane, as it will prevent a lot of damage from Kassadin when he comes to roam, and it'll prevent all the CC from Janna from going off, as they don't have a ton of magic damage between Janna and Ezreal. And if Draven doesn't get knocked up by the tornado or knocked back by the ultimate of Janna, he should have an easy time getting to Ezreal in this lane. And also Morgana is a great support because she can really set up things, and her team really needed a set of initiation. I'm not sure how the blue team is going to initiate fights other than Kassadin jumping in and soaking damage. Shaco has grabbed the first kill of the game. Up top on Nidalee, looks like Draven down bottom is just going to finish off this Ezreal, as the score is now 0-2, as we have just joined the game. Looks like Lee Sin did try and gank, but the fact that Janna DC'd didn't really help them out. But that's the kind of the problem with solo queue, though they do reconnect quickly, and everything is alright. But the big problem here is Draven's getting ahead, and you don't want to get Draven ahead. He's extremely strong carry, and that's just what Dravens do, is they can snowball so hard from the laning phase, where he is one of the strongest laners in the game. So Shaco coming in for a gank on Kassadin. Katarina jumps in, and nice slow by Shaco, and this will mean the death of Kassadin. And I do not believe Katarina will fall, as there is just not enough damage for that Ignite. Draven and Morgana are going to go back. Morgana is likely to complete that Philosopher's Stone. Looks like Nidalee up top doing a good bit of harassment to Kha'Zix, as Kha'Zix really needs to go all in on Nidalee if he wants to win, because Nidalee's poke is just way too strong for Kassadin at this point in time. Nidalee should easily be able to run back into the bushes, throw out a few spears, run back to the bushes, and keep Kha'Zix from ever really topping himself off and being a good spot to fight. Kha'Zix really needs to just jump in and beat up Nidalee, make her burn a lot of mana. Now that they're both 6, I'm really not sure what Nidalee's going to do, though Nidalee wisely takes advantage of Kha'Zix having to pop his evolution point. He does pop the void spikes, but is very punished for doing that. You do need to back up before doing that. Looks like Katarina is coming down bottom. Morgana will not be in range for a bind, but a fair bit of harassment done. Looks like Lee Sin up top, ganking on Kha'Zix. Kha'Zix will get taken down thanks to the nice kick from Lee Sin. Lee Sin is a great character to play against Kha'Zix, because Kha'Zix does have a short-term invisibility, and Lee Sin does reveal invisibility. It means Kha'Zix won't get additional procs of his passive off if he's hit with it, and that passive does a ridiculous amount of damage. Shaco farming decently in jungle, opting for the Madrid's Razor build. Kha'Zix going for a Brutalizer. Not sure what Katarina's going, as she has picked up just the Sorcerer's Shoes at the moment and a non-magic mantle. Shaco is going to run over here to red buff and likely try and trap it out, but here comes Morgana. Morgana lands the long-range bind, and Lee Sin is in a bit of trouble here, as he will be forced to kick over the wall. But Shaco does deceive over right in time, though, right into an Ezreal. And Ezreal is going to take a fair bit of damage here, as the axis from Draven will finish off Lee Sin thanks to a beautiful Morgana bind. And that's what I was saying. Morgana can start these fights, and she is a great, underrated support at the moment. Kassadin does come in here and try and fight Shaco, but Shaco will do a bit more damage over the course. Katarina does do a bit of damage to Kassadin on the way out, but Kassadin is more than healthy at this point. Looks like Kha'Zix is going to take a fair damage from this Nidalee, but Nidalee is fighting in isolation, you have to remember that, and it will not be enough, as they both back away with very low health. Ezreal down bottom gets taken out by Katarina thanks to another beautiful Morgana bind. And the fact that Janna has disconnected is really not doing well, but Nidalee does take down that Kha'Zix rather quickly up top, as he did step on a trap, and you can be seen when you're invisible if you step on that trap. Looks like they are going to be trading aggro here, as the red team will take the first dragon in the game. They are up 2-5 with a nice 2,000, now 3,000 gold lead. And Kassadin really isn't doing a good job of shutting down Katarina here, as that's really why you pick Kassadin, to really shut down the enemy team and pick up kind of roaming kills. Katarina's done a good job of roaming ahead of Kassadin and making sure he can't get to the lane in time. So Kassadin will be taking blue buff here as everyone returns back to lane. I don't think we're going to see a big fight anytime soon, unless Morgana can land another binding down bottom, as Kha'Zix does not want to fight at this point. Nidalee is infinitely stronger. She has gone for the early Glacial Shroud. You see Janna reconnecting here. Morgana has opted for the early Philosopher's Stone. Shaco picking up the Ruby Crystal in addition to the Wriggle's Lantern. Draven likely going for a Bloodthirster and Duran's Blade. Looks like Kha'Zix is in trouble as everyone jumps on top of him. And that's one dead Kha'Zix. And there's nothing they can really do about it, as that was a nice 3-man gang. But the problem is Kha'Zix is not going to be worth a whole lot of gold. And all you're doing is buying space for this Bruiser Nidalee. And I'm not sure it's worth it to let Katarina farm all this stuff out. Well, you could easily have Kassadin stay back and pick up the kill, or pick up, or pressure Katarina. Looks like Morgana does pop her ultimate, and Ezreal's forced to flash, but is not successful, as he is going to be taken out here by Draven. And looks like Janna got one shot. Ouch. That's all you can say about that is ouch. That Janna got completely shut down. I'm pretty sure that was a one-shot. If not, maybe a two-shot, because the Draven ultimate might have hit her. I wasn't fully paying attention to her as I was watching the Ezreal get killed, but looks like Nidalee is going to take some damage up top. But it is not enough, as she just jumps out of range and uses her immense powers to keep herself safe. Looks like Shaco does throw a bit of more harassment down there. Looks like Katarina's in a bit of trouble, but here comes Morgana with a nice use of that black shield. And the bind on Kassadin does make quick work of that for Katarina. And this is why Morgana's a really underrated and strong support. She just does a lot of things. She doesn't have the traditional shield or lane sustain, but the fact that she can prevent all that CC, she can prevent magic damage, and she has a really nice initiation tool. Looks like Janna will miss the bind and will be taken fairly low here by Draven, as she has disconnected again, but will not go down, forcing out a Draven flash. Almost worth it to disconnect at that point, because you would have likely moved it a little bit farther up. Looks like Shaco has been seen out back behind there. Nidalee will take the bait, trying to get the kill on Kha'Zix anyways. Kha'Zix does leap away, but Nidalee will follow, and Kha'Zix is going to go down here. And there's nothing Shaco can do. Shaco just is not strong enough to get in there, and it's going to be a fight between Nidalee and Draven late game. And I think Draven's going to have this one in spades, as he is up heavily in CS. Looks like Lee Sin does come down bottom, but not much happening because of it. Morgana has warded the river nicely, and Draven is playing fairly safe at this point as Janna has reconnected. Looks like Morgana does throw out a bind, and it hits on Janna, chunking her life down, and the ultimate from Draven will come back and kill Janna. This Janna is not having a good game. I'm not really sure what she can do at this point. Katarina does come in here and lands a nice combo onto Ezreal, making that a free kill. As this Katarina is snowballing nicely, sitting at 4-0-0, while we do have Draven leading the game at 5-0-2 with 103 CS. But the nice use of flash there by Katarina gets her away from Lee Sin. Kassadin is going to come in here, but what will Kassadin be able to do? Kassadin does get caught in the Morgana ultimate and will proc. Yes, it procs at the last second, keeping her safe. But Kassadin will get the kill in the back end, but Kassadin is not in good shape. He does have enough mana for another Rift Walk, but I'm not sure if any more than that. He is going to try and go home, but I do think he's going to be found out, as Shaco is waiting, assuming he's going to jump over the river. And yeah, this Kassadin pick is not working out at all. It has not shut down Katarina. And that's really what you pick Kassadin for, to shut down a lane. And if you don't shut down a lane, you're fairly useless until you can get up a bit higher and start roaming. As he does roam extremely well once the mid game starts. But he's not someone like Katarina who can roam as soon as you hit 6. Kha'Zix is going for the, looks like, Black Cleaver. Morgana coming up top to steal some farm. And it's going to try and apply some pressure to his Nidalee, but the tower is going to go down regardless. So Ezreal has picked up a Vampiric Scepter and Brutalizer. Nidalee going for a Phage after completing that Glacial Shroud. Morgana still trying to come up here and do something with his Nidalee, but at least it gives Kha'Zix some time to farm, where he isn't getting absolutely pressured down. And Morgana's doing a good job of just keeping him safe, because they figured Draven's good enough to beat Janna and Ezreal on his own, so he doesn't need the help. So Morgana can kind of roam around at this point. Looks like Katarina does escape the reset there, thanks to a nice Shumpo over to a minion. And looks like Shaco is going to come down bottom and attempt Dragon at this point. I don't foresee any way the blue team's going to contest Dragon, as they're just a little too far behind at this point. They are down 5,000 gold. They might be even on towers, but look who the gold's going to. It's going to Draven, who's completed a Bloodthirster and Brutalizer. Katarina, who's almost at the Abyssal Scepter. We do see Lee Sin picking up the Ruby Sightstone, and Kassadin with just the Blasting Wand. Kha'Zix has actually finished off his Black Cleaver now. You see Morgana going for the early Tier 2 boots with Home Guard. I don't think Home Guard was worth it. I'd much rather see her pick up a Sightstone at this point to really get some wards out on the map. But oh well, looks like Morgana Bind does come out, but no luck as it misses Lee Sin there. And it's going to be hard for them to engage at this point. Looks like Lee Sin does jump in and do a fair bit of damage, but it looks like Draven does return the damage very fast, as he is devastating at this point, especially with both of those axes whirling. Shaco is going to farm up the race and look to jump into a fight should something break out in the mid lane. I like this idea of staying fairly close to the action on Shaco, as he doesn't need to directly be there. He can just deceive in at any time. Lee Sin does take a fair bit of damage from Morgana there, but you will be forced back, and Morgana does jump in onto Lee Sin. Lee Sin kicks her back, but the whirling axes from Draven do a ton of damage. Looks like Nidalee does do a fair bit to Draven, but Draven is going to win out on this engagement, thanks to the fact that Shaco did jump in. Morgana all just on Nidalee, and Nidalee will be stunned, meaning that Draven gets a free kill there. Looks like Draven will pick up another free kill on this Janna. Kassadin picks up Shaco on the back end, as his clone does not do enough damage to finish him off. And that was a 2-for-2 exchange, but the big thing is Draven got a kill on the very heavily fed Nidalee. Nidalee is going to likely go for a Frozen Heart next, as she's picked up Glacial Shroud and Warden's Mail. And her only hope is to get tanky enough to just outlast Draven. But I don't think that's going to happen. This Draven is ridiculously farmed. So like Lee Sin does jump in onto Draven. Lee Sin does not have his pick available. And even if he did, Morgana can Black Shield it, so he does not move at all from it. And that's one thing that Morgana really does excel at, especially because they have Katarina. Throw Black Shield on Katarina and good luck getting her out of her ultimate, as she will prevent all the CC, and the only real CC they have to worry about is the Kassadin. Looks like Katarina is going to get jumped here and taken down thanks to a nice kick by Lee Sin. And Nidalee has completed her Frozen Heart. Looks like they will be pressuring this mid tower and should be able to take it down fairly easily. Janna is still only level 5 at this point, is not a very big threat, but she's getting some much needed levels. Same with Ezreal, as they are now approaching level 9. But the big problem is this Kassadin is only level 9 as well. He's very far behind, only sitting at 55 CS, and has just completed his Rod of Ages. And he really needs to pick up a few kills here to make himself useful. He does have the highest kill score on his team, but that's not enough considering he's so far down in minions compared to everyone else in the game. Black Cleaver completed by Draven, and he will likely be going for the Zeal next, as he has picked up a dagger in addition to his Zerka's Greaves. And this means Draven's going to do a big ton of damage. Morgana Bind does miss on Nidalee, but no worries, as Nidalee can easily dodge those. If she gets hit by a bind, though, she is going to go down. I don't see any way that she's not, especially if more than just Draven are there. Looks like Lee Sin's going to come in from the side, but no, he's just going to instead back up and ward, as Nidalee was not in the area, and they really need Nidalee for these fights. Nidalee's going to soak a good bit of damage. Kassadin might try and jump in here on Draven, but no, he decides against it. Kha'Zix and Shaco are coming in. Morgana Bind on Kassadin means that Kassadin is stuck there and cannot jump away. Looks like Shaco doing the smart thing and just throwing down boxes near where this team's going to be fighting. So if you do something like jump on Draven, you'll hit a Shaco box before getting anything real significant. Looks like Kassadin is in for a bit of trouble, as Kha'Zix and Shaco will cut him down. Morgana does throw out her ultimate onto Lee Sin, and it will be just enough, as Draven's ultimate comes across at the last second. Looks like Shaco clone does explode there, but this does mean another tower for the red team. They are tied in towers, with mid tower and top being taken on their side, and the bottom and mid. Looks like a surrender does come out, as they just realize this Draven is way too strong. And the fact that Janna was disconnecting means that there's even more problems. And yeah, that just comes down to Draven getting a little too farmed there. Because look at that, 9,500 gold at the 20-minute mark is pretty ridiculous. Having a Black Cleaver Bloodthirster being 10.02 with 164 CS is just absolutely ridiculous. Nidalee did a great job to win top lane, but Kha'Zix just continued to farm while Nidalee was forced into protecting her team from getting absolutely obliterated, as their mid lane and bottom lane just never really got anything going that game.
Thank you for watching Games Cast by PanderNyrl. If you wish to see more, follow my YouTube and Twitch pages below.